Hey YouTube, what's up? So, to start, I have two clarifying messages. One, to my friend who tweeted at me earlier in the week asking who Dumbledore would be on the USS Enterprise if Hogwarts took place in space. To you I say, have you read the books? By the time the students in Hogwarts would have graduated and then gone on to Starfleet as a university, Dumbledore would have already been dead. I'm sorry, but it's true. It happened. The movies are all out, so I don't really feel like that's that much of a spoiler anymore. That's like saying, oh, Darth Vader is Luke's father. Yes, we know. We know already. Point number 2 is, yes, I do have a Pottermore account, but I only have one Pottermore account, and no, I'm not going to leave my username in the droppity box. Dory Gray. On another note, I had an interview today. That was exciting. It's the first interview I've ever had to do for anything, really. But yeah. Internship possibilities. I'm excited because it's kind of a graduation requirement for my university, so I kind of really need to get an internship because I would like to graduate. That would be nice. And as you can see where this is going from my talking about internships seems like a popular question for people to ask you on interviews is, well, where do you see your life going? What are you doing after college? And the truth is, everyone, I don't know. I'm 21, and I don't know. And I feel like I shouldn't have to decide right now what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. I also feel like with how life tends to be structured, that we have this idea in our heads that we go to school, we go to university, we graduate, we get a job, we work somewhere for 40 years, and then we retire. But how am I supposed to decide what I want to do for 40 working years of my life when I haven't even been alive half that long? That seems so absurd to me, that you have to decide, like, right now. And I know in other countries that it's different. I remember when I lived in Ireland, instead of applying to a university, we were supposed to apply for program levels within the university, and depending on like what score you got, depended on what majors you could pick. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I was a foreign student, so it was like weird for us. So if you have any insight about that, Irish people, let me know. Though I do have a general idea, like what I would like to do in some futuristic state of existence. Yes, I would like to write a novel. Yes, I would like to have published works of written literature. But I also understand that that's a very competitive field, especially because book publishers aren't publishing as much as they used to be. And that kind of brings me to this idea I was introduced to in high school in 9th grade, which is freshman year, first year of high school. I'm not really sure how that aligns with grade levels in Britain. So Harry Potter, 4th year is what we're thinking. And that's the idea of the big rocks first. And the idea that you have to put the big rocks into the jar and then the little rocks in on top of it. Because if you fill your life with all the little rocks, or the sand, then you won't have any room for the big rocks. And fairly recently, when I was on Tumblr, I saw this picture, and it was of a glass mason jar filled with those little Chinese paper stars. You know what I'm talking about. They're like this big, and they're those paper Chinese stars, and you're supposed to like make 1,000 of them and put them in a jar, and then you get a wish. And that led me to an idea. I call it the wish jar. I know there's only 3 things in here so far, but I need more sticky notes, but I'm working on it. But I'll tell you what the 3 in here are. The yellow one The yellow one is to go to Comic-Con with my friend Megan at some point in the future. And I know that's a silly thing to say, but, you know, I do consider it fairly important. This one, this pink one in front here, is for my writing blog, which I do have a link to on my channel page, though it does need to be updated. Hence the rubber bands on my wrist, in case you were wondering what they were for. Those rubber bands are for days that I have forgotten to update my blog, so yeah, I need to work on that. But that is for my blog. And then this other pink one right here with the white string is for my YouTube channel. Yes, you guys, you're in my little wish jar. So that's for me to work on my video editing and my YouTube skills. And when I find my orange sticky notes, I'm going to make one for writing my novel. Now, I know a lot of people write, and a lot of people say, oh, I want to write a novel, oh, I want to do this, but I feel like making it visual, making it something you can see, being like, these are my big rocks, they're in the jar, they take up this much space, these are the things I have room for in my life. I think that really helps, because saying, oh, I'm going to write a book, or oh, I'm going to make my YouTube page, or I'm going to update my blog, or whatever, those things are somewhat abstract, and you can put off updating a blog because you can backdate it. And I think that's one of the advantages of YouTube, is there's not really a way to backdate your video posts, and if there is, don't tell me, I don't want to know. And I think that's really helpful to have a very concrete deadline. And with something like writing a novel being like, it is a rock, I can see it, it's a thing I must complete. Do you remember reading once that Neil Gaiman wrote Good Omens in 9 days? 9 days, that's a week and 2 days. Of course, he then went on to say it took 4 months to edit it. Which is fine. Editing is always the harder part than just word vomiting the story out. But there is merit to just having it written, because once it is written, once it is in front of you, that makes it so much more real. And I really do think that's part of how you find your goals and your dreams, is you have to experience them in reality, you have to interact with them in the real world on, you know, gut level instinct type of thing. Which I really do think that these kind of real-world visualization types of practices, people make vision boards all the time, and they say, oh, vision boards are great, but, you know, seeing it as on a piece of two-dimensional space is one thing. When you actually have, you know, a whole story written, it's much different to just scroll through the Word document than it is to say, print the thing out and then have to go through and edit it, because look, I don't know how you guys edit, but I can't do the whole editing on a computer thing. I have to print things out, and I have to mark them up in color-coded pen, and I have to cut up the pages and like reorganize paragraphs. It's just how I do things, because it makes it more interactive, and I think that shows in the final product. And I think that's really good, because this brings me to part of my interview, is that she said, oh, you do a lot of writing, are you sure you want to do an art internship? And I said yes, because how you structure and approach an object that you're going to photograph is very similar to how you have to structure and approach the idea for a novel, because with both photography and writing longer pieces of works and even short pieces of work, you have to understand the object 7 ways to Sunday, upside down, backwards, diagonally, and in more dimensions than you care to know about, in order to get it to come out the way you want it to come out. And I think understanding things in 3D space, the way you have to understand it as you're photographing it, helps you understand the 3D-ness of the written word. And I think that's all I have to say today, so see you all on Monday. Fade out.